Did you guys catch Elon Musk's tweet? This one right here. I'll show it to you in a little bit. It's where he said, and I'm quoting here, "For a country to survive, there has to be a common culture. Nobody dies to defend a multicultural economic zone." He went on to say further, "American culture, with its English, Scots, Irish origin, is great and worth fighting for." I think he forgot Christopher Columbus in there, but he wasn't a great guy either. But I know how Elon doesn't like people with brown skin. He went on to say, "Some may not realize it, but that's why people come here." I guess because of all the white culture. Honestly, Elon, nobody wanted you to come here. It sounds like the America you're looking for looks a lot more like white South Africa. You know, your actual country, where for many years your white friends ran a two-tiered system where whites lived one way and blacks lived another. In fact, South Africa was all black before the Dutch and English colonized it, stealing the land, stealing its resources, and all the power to govern. It sounds kind of familiar, doesn't it? It all came to a head when the so-called lower class of people, black people, eventually rose up and tossed the part-time leadership to the curb with the help of the world community, which is probably why you left. White guys hate losing power to people of color. We're seeing the same thing here in the United States. And I know this must seem like a repeat nightmare for you, Elon, which is why you probably support ICE, which is probably why you support the two-tiered system we now live in. Or to be more precise, the English, Scot, Irish origin of the United States. But there's other things in your tweet that are also problematic. You say that Americans don't want to die defending a multicultural economic zone. Your words. You say there has to be a common culture. Common culture. Well, here's the common culture you're missing. The reason America was always great before you and Donald Trump took it over was that the common culture was its diverse nature. It was its diverse culture. America was made up of people from all over the world over the course of about 300 years. And it wasn't just those three white countries you talked about. It's rich in Italian heritage. The Chinese built the railroads across this great country. That's hundreds of years before you and your brother arrived. In short, you are coming very late to the development phase of the creation of our, quote, common culture. The French culture, still deeply seated in places like Louisiana. And the real Africans, not the fake ones like you and your family, built this country first through their enslavement and now through their own hard work and by fighting like hell for their rights from other white nationalists just like yourself. The truth is, this country has always been multicultural from the very get-go. It just hasn't always been equal, and that's what you mean. Now that it's built, you and your Republican friends don't believe there's any place for people of color anymore. We're seeing that. When you say common culture, you mean white. When I say common culture, I mean the diversity of the nation, which I think makes it great. The ideal American common culture used to be idealized through things like two-story house with a white picket fence. You remember that? The family values, your party used to call it. Remember that? Back in the Ronald Reagan days, probably before you even showed up. Wow, that's shifted, hasn't it? Now it's you and your 14 children with 4 different wives. Is that the common culture that we should all be adapting? Wow, what an example you are for us all. You said in the past the world needs more people, not less. More people, not less. And that we have a lack of population problem. Yet you run an AI company that, should we increase our population as you boldly suggest, your company will put everybody out of work. You think we have homelessness now? Is that the American common culture you want us all to embrace? You say that this common culture, this white common culture, English, Scot, Irish in origin, is worth fighting for. I am really unaware that you've ever spent a second in the U.S. military paying the price for the multicultural country that you now enjoy, paid for by the blood of American soldiers decades before you and your brother arrived. And the places like Afghanistan and Iraq where I've worked, There were lots of Garcias and Rodriguezes running around. Now you want to get rid of all those people, right? The country's all built for the taking for you, and you want to get rid of them all the brown-skinned people. Does your common culture include following laws? Because if it does, I'm wondering if we should deport you and your brother. You both were speaking at a business conference in 2013. Do you remember that one? The internet does. Your brother made it really clear that you were here illegally and didn't have the proper visas to do business here. And he knew it. And so did you. And yet you did your business here anyways. Funny, right? You looked super uncomfortable when he blurted that out to the crowd. And now you're an American citizen. Funny things, how things work out for you white South Africans in this country. That was 2013. So you've been lying to the U.S. government about that for at least 13 years, right? It's sort of just like Melania in her early years here. Remember when she was modeling and she had that tourist visa she turned into 10 modeling jobs? And then she took advantage of the system just like you did. She worked, parlayed that into American citizenship, and now here she is. Common culture. Is that the common culture you're talking about? I don't think you represent the U.S. common culture in any way. You represent a new class of people. The billionaires who get richer and richer off the tax breaks that Congress passes and through government contracts like your space venture. You want to put people on Mars, while we can't afford health care. Get them to Mars. We could live there. Sounds like a great idea. That's the common culture that you think we should be striving for. Not feeding the poor, but getting your rockets to Mars. The people who think like you are in organizations like the Heritage Foundation. They're little Nazis like Stephen Miller. They're people like Kristi Noem who shoot their dogs because they can't hunt birds properly. Something's not worth it to them anymore. They don't have any use for them anymore. You throw them out. They're elitists like Pam Bondi who protect people on the Epstein's list. Like yourself, in fact. While instead they go after crooks and cleaners at hotels and car washers because they have brown skin. You do not represent anything close to the common culture of America, and most of us don't even like you being in this country. We admit we're stuck with you, but we will not let you shape our country into the next fucking South Africa, where only the whites share in the riches and brown people and people of color continue to be cogs in your wheel of destruction. Thanks, Misfits. Like, follow, and share if you also think Elon Musk is as much of a tool as I do. If you want to support my work, consider a paid subscription on Substack at From the Writer's Cabin. Have a great night.